first things about buying a piece of land is people like to dump rubbish on it wherever possible. So one of the first jobs here will obviously to be clearing plenty of people's waste, but this is again part of the rehabilitation of this beautiful woodland here, and won't take much, a few skips I think, and we should be able to get this cleared and fenced and start to get some fencing in and get it looking a little bit tidier than it is at the moment. Not great at the moment, I'm afraid.
I thought it would be important to explain a little bit of the planning context if any of you are looking at sites like this. Contamination can have a massive impact on the viability of the use of a particular site. So in particular, the phasing of investigation relates to how much contamination there is and what it is. It's essential to get professional input. This, of course, will have a cost. Thinking about what is on the ground, what you can see, what might be in the ground, what the existing buildings are and what their previous use is, will give you a starting point to how to ascertain some of the aspects of the contamination or potential contamination on the site that you might be looking at.
In fairness, this was a horrible morning over the festive period, and the boys were paying off their partying with us by coming out and clearing up the site a little bit. So they did a stellar job. Day one of clearing up rubbish, and it was really windy, wet, cold, miserable. It was raining, but horrible stuff, and it just gave us a quick introduction really to what was under the ground and what was in the ground, just in terms of it looked like a lot of old builders stuff dumped, quite a while ago. Nothing too serious, but a lot of it, and that was the pain really of all of this clearance, was how much there was.
Just going to show you the biggest skip that we've ever experienced, and it's full of other people's rubbish. Everything you can imagine, to be honest. It's just a shame. But at least we're clearing up the woodland for the nature, and I'll spin around and show you this giant skip, absolutely full of tyres, lots of building material, clothes, newspapers, pretty much anything you can imagine, car parts, nappies, old recliners, prams, anything you can chuck in a field has pretty much been chucked into this skip, and been cleaned out of the site. But at least we're getting there a little bit, and it feels like the site is going to have a little chance to breathe and not be so disgustingly filled with probably 50 years worth of rubbish. People have chosen to dump here in the countryside instead of actually dispose of properly. But there you go. So more soon.
Well, you can see here how embedded it is into the ground. It doesn't even move. Like, you really have to pull it, and a lot of this has been there that long. It's degrading and decomposing into the ground, but the earth has actually sort of entombed it, I suppose would be a good way of describing it. So we've been pulling this stuff out for weeks, and still more to be uncovered, but there's also some really big stuff that's sat in here, and again taking quite a lot to remove this stuff out of the woodland beds. Honestly, what are people up to? Chucking beds in a woodland? No scruples at all, I don't think. This bed isn't usable anymore. Small bits, this is degraded over time. You can see bits of plastic just break up, you know. I mean, they do, you know, I suppose plastic, how long does it take? 30 years to get to a stage where it might break up due to the UV or whatever. But it just actually makes it more difficult to clear it once it's broken up. There's lots of bits, but, you know, in this bag, this is just 10 minutes of collecting after a big clean up as well. So this is only just wandering around the site to see what I could pick up in addition to what's already been cleared, picking up bits of panes of glass and all sorts of bits of plastic, definitely builders' rubble and or builders' materials and domestic stuff. So there's nothing too sinister about it. It's just that obviously it's been here for so long. This is a little example of a couple of the bags after just maybe 10 or 15 minutes of collecting. There's that bit that I got out earlier. I was quite pleased about that, actually. Showing that bit off there. Showing the bit of rope off that I got out, but bits of flower pot and, you know, bit of glass there, look. There was quite a few bits of glass that had clearly come out of something at some point. And, there's the electrics. Very suspicious. Electrical parts there of something or other. So all going to be collected, and the site will obviously be cleared up just from doing this little bit of clearance. But, you know, if anyone feels like coming up and spending a day clearing the site, might make them feel better about, you know, the environment and all of that sort of stuff, you're more than welcome to come up. You can see actually here in the site, we've cleared it a little bit, and you can see where this is actually the original concrete roadway, which looks quite a bit different to what you saw on the earlier videos. But essentially, there's an existing concrete road that formed part of the original military base, and off to the left is another road that goes to goes to the site of one of the original buildings that was on site. So we've been quite fortuitous actually to have this particular kind of road, because it means that the ground is very solid and it's military grade construction, so it allows us to actually get through the site quite easily. But the point of walking up here was to show you this pile of rubbish that we had to take out of the skip. That massive skip that I showed you earlier, we had to siphon through it and reduce the weight of it because it was so heavy with rubbish that the truck that came to collect it couldn't lift it. So we siphoned it out, and we're going to sieve this out and try to keep as much on site in terms of the soil and stuff like that as possible. But you can see from the extreme close-up that there's plenty of rubbish that wouldn't ever go anywhere if we didn't clear it. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight as to one of the things that you got to deal with when you buy a woodland that looks so pretty, and then you start to scratch the surface and this happens. But anyway, see you soon. Bye.